This is like a lesson for everybody out there. So if you got something and you need more cash, there are no excuses.
No excuses.
Zero excuses to get out of debt, to follow that dream, to create more cash. All right, so today on the podcast, we've got Rock Sandretto. We're shooting today at the Highlands College in the wonderful podcast studio that we have here. It's such a blessing to get to use this, but we're talking about Rock today. Rock owns Salon 43-1 here in Birmingham. So a little bit of context about Rock. Rock grew up here in Birmingham, but also battled a little addiction, met a great woman, found Jesus. That's a common story you hear in a lot of people's lives. They battled something that was hard. They found a great girl. They found Jesus. And then from that point on, he's had a wonderful, probably tough life. So Rock Sandretto, and also Rock's a great friend of mine, so I know a lot of these stories already. So we're going to talk through some of what he does from a business standpoint, but also what he does from a personal standpoint. So he is a business owner that has multiple businesses, that has kids, has a great marriage, and so he is our ideal human. So
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So Rock, so glad to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Let's get into you. Let's talk about dealt with a little addiction in the past.
For sure.
Met your wife. Now you own a salon. So you don't have to go into the deep recesses, but let's talk about really the whole salon thing, because salon industry for a guy that looks like you, I mean, he's super jacked, he's good looking. I mean, he doesn't know anything about hair.
Yeah, not at all.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Just give somebody some context and some history.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I grew up in a wonderful Christian home. My parents are both love the Lord. They actually go to Highlands as well. And I grew up, and my mentality was I was going to kind of rebel, in high school and all that. So I went through the whole rebellion stage. Not as much in high school, but as soon as I graduated high school, I fell in with the wrong crowd. It was actually at spring break, or not spring break, but senior trip, and fell into the wrong crowd, and I wanted to start selling drugs. So that's kind of how I started
Making that money.
Yeah.
Let me say this too. So this is the common thing.
Yeah.
With everybody that's straight. No one's straight on their own.
Yeah, for sure.
100% of the people that have screwed up part of their life, meaning by making wrong decisions, they make it because someone else has told them or led them to that. And that's why I talk about it to John and Tegan in Georgia all the time. Your friends are critical.
They're huge, man. And just like Chris, Pastor Chris, he's like, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Sure.
That's such a huge thing. And now having kids, we're trying to portray that as well to our kids. We have 4 kids now. And so I battled the addiction, went to jail for a little bit. It wasn't long. It was, I think it was 48 hours. It was just 2 days. Yeah. But after I was on Oxycontins, so it was pretty rough, about a 3-year stint of that, 3 or 4 years. And when I came out I was actually in jail. All I had to read was the New Testament. They give you those little Gideon Bibles. Yeah. And I didn't have anything else to do. So I started detoxing in jail. I finished that 48 hours out, and I came home, and I had to tell my parents, this is what's going on.
Right.
I flushed all my stuff down the toilet, and I told them, I was like, hey, don't let me go anywhere. I don't care what I say. Don't let me leave your eyesight. And so same thing with my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, good girl,
right.
Brittany, wonderful woman. We broke up during that time. She had no clue I was doing anything.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
You were on drugs, and they had no clue.
No clue. But at that point, it wasn't the addiction was so bad, it was more of a doing the drug to feel normal. Yeah. There was no fulfillment in there.
Really high, I guess.
Oh, no, not at all.
You were taking drugs so that you could function every day.
Yeah, yes.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah. If I didn't have the drugs, I would get, Withdrawals right away. Yeah. So Brittany, my wife, which was my girlfriend then, no clue. I told her about everything, and I asked her if she could just stick with me while I finished this detox out. I knew it was like a 2-week period just from hearing everything. Yeah, it was terrible. So it got so bad during the detox about 4 or 5 days in, you can't sleep. I mean, everybody knows stories about detoxing, and it's terrible. The only way I could sleep is if my parents or Brittany would drive me around. So at 12 o'clock, I'd wake my parents up, be like, I cannot sleep. So they would drive me around like 459, 2059 loop.
The loop.
Yeah. And Brittany did the same thing. And then about 7 days in, I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I've got to go to a rehab. And it wasn't because I needed the drugs, it just detox was so bad.
Sure.
So we went up to Bradford. Brittany was with us, and my mom and dad, and we went to Bradford. I was going to get checked in, and it was like a long day, long, lengthy process. And the lady there, I guess a counselor maybe, she was like, hey, look, it's like a bell curve. Like when you're coming off drugs, it's like you hit this high where it's like the worst, and then it starts coming back down. And she said, you're a week in right now, so you've got to be at the top of the curve. So it's not going to get that much worse. It's going to get better from here. And then I talked to another guy that was going to my church at the time, that dealt with a lot of the stuff with the foundry and stuff like that. He told me the same thing. So I had that confirmation, and I was like, okay, I can stick this out. I was reading my Bible just trying to like pour into God, because that was like the only way I knew how to do it. And sure enough, man, God just totally led me out of that addiction. I've been clean, I guess, 17 years. That's somewhere so around awesome. There. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so even now though, when I go to the doctor and need cough syrup or something like that, I always make sure everybody knows, like, hey, I had a past. You know, so don't give me anything that's not that I think I would mentally, but I just don't want to put myself in that predicament, of doing something that might trigger something. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, right.
Okay, so you come off the drugs. Now, where did that, like the quick version of that path before you owned the salon?
Yeah, so I dropped out of school because I was on drugs when I was going to 2-year college, Jeff State. I dropped out of school, and then I just started working just regular jobs, like manual labor type jobs, just trying to
make money.
Trying to make money. Well, about a year of me being sober, me and Brittany got pregnant. So Brittany became pregnant, and I knew we had to. I just grew up. You get married, you know what I'm saying. You have to do the right thing.
It's a southern thing.
It's a southern thing, and not that that's the best decision for everybody, but
it's cultural.
Yes, it's cultural. So we get married, like we've been clean for a year. Right away, get married, then have a daughter. And it was hard. Still working, just like not dead end jobs. My employees were very good, but it was just jobs that just weren't going to ever get me where I really wanted to go in life. I finally got on to the coal mines. So the underground coal mines in Oak Grove, where I grew up, there was somebody that was hiring. And so I got on down there, and I was an electrician getting paid really well. And that was going to be my career. I was just like, God's got me here. I'm cool with it. You can make a great living.
Now, you got a kid. What's Britt doing?
So Brittany was doing hair. So she's been doing hair since she was 15.
Great.
Yeah. So she's been on 280 doing hair since she was 15. Hard worker. Just loves the Lord, straight A, you know what I'm saying? Just great person. And I'm the mess up, you know what I'm saying? I'm the one jacking around.
So you're working the coal mines. I mean, for a middle class, everyday citizen, working the coal mines is a very good, respectable job.
Yes, for sure.
Salary
80,000
job.
a year, 80, 90, somewhere around there. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
6 days a week.
Hard work.
Hard work, but it was a union job, not to bash on unions, but I was an electrician, so I really didn't have to do much manual labor. I just had to fix things. So it was fine with me. About 5 years in.
So you worked in coal mines for 5 years?
6 years total.
6 years?
Yeah, 6 years total. Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah, it was a long time. So about 5 years in, we started going to Highlands. Let me try to back this up. Not trying to pull this into Highlands, but we were in Highlands, and we were in church, not in small groups, but we were just in church doing the church thing.
Yeah.
Well, around that 5-year mark, I went on a missions trip to Haiti and all this stuff. So my spiritual growth was more mature than it had been before in the past.
Correct.
So during 21 days of prayer, all in, stuff like that. And one of the things on the 21 days of prayer, Matt Miner talked about being where you are and letting God use you in those situations. Mm-hmm. Not getting complacent, but just being open to where God has you for that time.
Sure.
So that year 5, I was just like, hey, I'm going to try to witness to people down here. It's a rough crowd. But I was just like, I'm going to be me, a Christian, and I work in this place. No big deal, right? So started working there, and then in year 6, which has been in 2015, early 2015, Brittany started wanting to do a salon. She was like, hey, I really want my own space. She's been doing hair for a long time at this point.
Okay, let's stop right here.
Yeah,
let's talk finances, because this is a huge part of what we do. So you're making decent money in the coal mines. She making good money, or is she just like getting by?
Man, you know what's crazy? We joke about this all the time. I remember whenever I was working and she started doing hair, she'd make like $300-400 a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a dead end job. What are you doing?
Sure.
I was like, go to McDonald's and work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
I was just like, that mentality of like, what do you even, you know what I'm saying? It's just, and that's on me for calling it like that, when God had its way bigger picture than, you know, you can't ever see God's plan until you see God's plan.
Right.
So, yeah, so she was, you know, financially we weren't tithing as much as we ought to have been. We tithed, but not as much, and not off 100% of our income. We knew tithing. I grew up tithing, but it was always like my parents made me tithe. You know, you get $20, you got to tithe the $2.
Yeah.
So it was more of not of a spiritual aspect of honoring. It was more of a biblical legalism. Yeah. Good word. Yeah. So all during this time, God's working on us, and we're starting to kind of figure out finances. We were never in a great place, like, you know, financially. We never had excess. You know what I'm saying? It was always paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
We had Bryson at the time, so we had 2 kids at this time. So we had our oldest, and then we had our son. So we had 2 kids. And Brittany was like, I want to do my own salon. And at this point, I was just like, okay, if you're ever going to step out and do something, now's the time. I've got a good W-2 job. Like, we can make this work. So, hold on, let me back up just a little bit, because this is how the finances work with the salon, and it's a big play. After Haiti trip, I felt like I wanted to go back to school to do mechanical engineering. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I went back to night classes. I made the dean's list, everything. I'm just like killing school. But my whole point, I was going to quit completely the coal mines and finish school as fast as I could. So we sold everything. We had no debt. We sold cars. We sold anything that we had debt. We paid it down. So we had no debt whatsoever. So the way God set that up is kind of crazy looking back, because I thought it was more for me to be financially free, which ended up turning that way. But I thought it was going to go back to school, you know, that kind of path. And
so hold on one second. Why did you go back to be a mechanical engineer? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
what was the plan?
Yeah. So when I went to college in the very beginning, when I was on drugs, I wanted to do mechanical engineering. I just like math. I like numbers, all that stuff. So when I went to Haiti and kind of came to that closeness with God, and kind of like that, I just really felt in my heart like it was like that was the next step. And I knew to make that step happen, we had to get our finances in order.
Yeah.
Cool thing was, with all that story, I went to school, I did a couple of semesters, great grades, everything is going good. And then Brittany wanted to do the salon around that time. So they kind of threw a kink in the thing, because I was like, I was going to quit, but that's okay. I'll stay here, finish out school.
So you're still doing
coal mining, night classes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was rough. 2 kids. And then so we found a place on Valleydale, at the end of Valleydale 280. And Brittany was like, this is the place I want to do my salon. So we start, I was an electrician, so I knew how to do most of the build out. So we did all our build out ourselves, everything like that, as much as we could, you know, for building codes and stuff. And it was right around, 21 days in September, January, and then you have 21 days, August. So that August, I was on the way to the mines. It was like a 50-minute drive, and I had to leave at like 4:30 in the morning to get down there. So I'm driving, and I'm doing my 21 days of prayer, right? And I'm praying, and I'm like, you know, God's never really spoke to me a lot. Yeah. You know, as far as just like a audible voice that I knew was God. But it was on the way to work, I felt like the Lord saying, you need to quit your job. Wow. So I talked to Brittany, and there's a couple little backstories on that, and she was like, go for it. So 2 weeks to the day was our grand opening. So I put my 2 weeks notice in. 2 weeks from that notice. The
grand opening of the salon.
43-1. I worked front desk, bro.
Yeah, you did.
Yes. Front desk. And Brittany and all our girls that remember that would tell you how crappy I probably was at that job. But it was like, we can make this work. And I remember the first week, I don't remember the actual number, but I saw some money, you know, and I was like, this might actually work. It's going to take a while, but this might actually work. Yeah. And so we had a few employees. Brittany was working behind the chair all the time, like constantly just making ends meet. And then slowly, man, God just started just blessing that, and our tithing became more like structural. And
let's ask a technical question.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the salon world, you have rent, and then you have percent. It's rent.
Yeah. So you can go two different ways. So there's two different business models. Two main business models. You can have commission based, or you can have booth rent.
Booth. Okay. That's right.
Yeah. Booth rent. Yeah.
What did y'all do starting out?
Commission.
So Susie has the space. Susie doesn't pay anything, but you have to give her X percent of every head she cuts.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she makes cuts a hair and it's $100.
She makes a certain percentage off of that, and the salon keeps the other.
But Susie doesn't have to pay any rent.
She pays no rent. Doesn't pay for color. Any supplies that she uses. She's a W-2 employee, so we provide every.
But she makes a percentage.
She makes a percentage. Yeah. So
okay.
Business-wise, about 3 or 4 months in, one of our reps was like, "Hey, you need to try this consulting firm. Like, this is great. Y'all are."
So you're 4 months in, and you. Wow.
It's crazy how God. Yeah, it is all looking back. It's all just like God lined everything.
And let me say this. I've told you this before. On salons, I have heard that these consulting firms are wonderful when it comes to salons.
If somebody owns a salon, first of all, I would not go booth rent.
Yeah.
But I would do commission-based salon. If they own a salon and they do not have a consulting firm, it's life change. Is somebody having a playbook for you and being like, hey, this is now we have a whole career path. Like, it's so structured and it's all based off of that first consulting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. So now when our employees come to a job interview, we can show them what they're going to make at each level. Hey, you're going to make, 60,000, 100,000, 120,000. And we can show them on paper, hey, these are the benchmarks you have to hit. If you hit this, you will take home this. So it's a easy, and a lot of salons don't. They're just like, yeah, get behind the chair, see what you can do.
Let's go, girl.
Let's go. Make some money.
Hair.
Yeah. So every month we sit down one-on-ones with the
do those.
So every stylist I sit down with, we have one-on-ones and we go over numbers, and a lot of it's just life. A lot of the people is like you're like a father to them, in a certain way, not
sure.
And so you're trying to guide them on saving, marriage. You're giving them so much advice, so you're able to pour into people so much. And that's another cool aspect. It's not, for me and Brittany, it's not a let's make as much money as we want and can. I mean, it is a business, but our biggest thing is our employees.
Yeah.
Like, we want to pour in, we want all our employees to do great. And that's how it.
Well, the better the employees in what you're doing, the better the employees do, the better y'all do. And that's not selfish
100%,
at all. It's just the way it is. So you want them to make tons of money, because if they're making tons of money, you make even more money.
Yeah, the salon.
So
when
was the first year of the salon? 16?
15, September 1st of 2015.
So
we
15.
opened. Mm-hmm.
So you've had. So we're on year 7 now.
7 of coal mines.
No, 7 of.
Oh yeah.
So y'all owned the salon 7 years.
Yeah, 22. Yeah, 7 years.
So y'all moved to.
So we had the Valleydale location, and then we found another one beside Taco Mama at Gears right here, and so we wanted to expand. We were just kind of busting at the seams. We had 6 chairs. We went from 6 chairs to 13 chairs, and we tried to do both locations. Just didn't work.
The second location, a lot of people in Birmingham know, but the second location is on 119. Next to Taco Mama,
Edgar's, Bellini's,
all those places.
that little strip.
Wonderful location right there in Birmingham.
It's so crazy too, the traffic, the foot traffic that you have on that location versus the first location.
Yeah.
So much goes into a play when you have a brick and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
About U-turns, 280. How are you going to turn in there? And that really showing us what a salon could do. And so having that location was great. So we did both locations for a while, and then at this time, booth rent was kind of becoming this big thing in the salon industry. A lot of the stylists, they get where they feel like they topped out and they want to try booth rent. And so you lose stylists to booth rent every year. You're going to lose somebody because they want to try booth rent.
Even at your location, y'all are still losing.
Yeah, we lost somebody this week for booth rent, but it's perfect for her situation. Sure. You know what I'm saying? It's total blessing from us. Like, you have these people that will get to a certain point and they just kind of stop. And we want all our employees to keep excelling. Mm. So when they start seeing in that same just normal pace, we have this conversation of like, hey, where's your future here? Do you see do you see anything here for you, or do you feel like something else? And so this lady, this woman, she left for a booth rent salon, which is great. It's great. It'll give her maybe a next step in her career, So.
Okay, so when these people leave, mm-hmm. do they ever sit there and look at you and go, hey, I'm fine with making what I want to make. I'm good. I don't want to grow anymore. Do you ever hear that?
Yeah, not a lot. 10% maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's not a huge. People follow money. I mean, so if you're showing them, hey, look, you're at this, making this per year, all you got to do is hit these numbers and you're gonna make this.
Yeah.
And they see that jump, 30,000 a year, 40,000, and so they're like, oh, okay, I can push it a little bit more. Now, once they get married, a lot of them will get married, and their husbands will have a great W-2 job, and they're kind of like, then they'll start kind of slacking off a little bit. But then usually they just kind of, it's crazy how the Lord, and I was having a story with the guy that we're doing the new location with, and I was like, the Lord always weeds people out. So instead of us having those rough conversations of like, hey, you just don't belong here anymore, the Lord always takes them, which is amazing for us.
Wow,
it's crazy. It's insane. And so, yeah, so it's not a big, and our turnover is not a lot. They say you lose 10% of your workforce a year, and that's probably about average. Well, you lose about 10% booth rent, or somebody moves, or somebody gets pregnant, they just want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And so it's all normal things, normal progressions of life, I guess.
Okay, so on the salon 7 years, where did your role, like tell me what your role in the salon has been, and then how do you and Brittany as a family, which is a little bit odd, how do y'all as a family manage this? What are responsibilities like?
So it took a long time to figure that out, because coming from working with your hands to front desk job, like a receptionist, it was a big ordeal, and it was a lot I had to deal with. So once the salon started picking up, year one, it was rolling pretty well. And so year two, that's when I started the photography thing. I started shooting just to kind of give me something else to do.
Were you getting bored?
I get bored with things really easy. Like if there's no growth to be had, or no benchmarks for me personally, I get super bored, and I'm like, okay, I got to do something else.
You started doing photography. Is this, I mean, this is quasi like, are y'all making a lot of money at this point, or are y'all just?
No, we're probably.
So you're looking for a side hustle to make some more cash?
Yeah, we're probably making 6 figures a year at that time. So I mean, not crazy.
Together or
yeah, together.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it's not amazing, but we didn't have any. We had 6 months saved up when we first opened the salon. So we knew once that 6 months went through, we would have to do something. And I always knew I could get another job.
Yeah.
But the Lord never saw it that way. He was just like, well, we'll just keep growing, and that's how that worked. So yes, it was a very hard time for me personally to try to just figure out what is my role. Right?
Yeah.
Like numbers were good. I'm good with Excel. So I started doing tons of spreadsheets, following numbers. The structure of the consulting firm helped me out a lot, because then I had the one-on-ones. I had different numbers I knew to hit. So I had a lot more day to day, but it wasn't still like it was probably like 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week. It wasn't a lot, And so that's when I started doing the photography. And then the photography kind of blew up, took off, and
Did you know anything about photography?
Dude, I knew nothing about photography.
So funny.
Yes, it's crazy. So I watched. There's some guys here that worked on Highland on staff, and I remember I met with one guy and was like, "Show me what ISO is. Show me all these like aperture. Like, show me everything to do with the camera." And then I went on YouTube, man. YouTube everything. Shot my first wedding by myself. I never second shot anybody, so I just went out there and just shot a wedding. Turned out great.
Were you so freaking nervous to shoot?
Dude, so on an average wedding, 2 shooters usually take like 3,000 pictures, and you kind of cool them down. I remember that first wedding, I think I took like 6,000 pictures. I mean, it was like, I just didn't want to miss anything. I was just like, I'm going to have more pictures than I need, And then of course you learn that as you go. But that was at the time when Instagram and traveling photography was like kind of starting that uptick. And my style was a lot different from anybody else's in Alabama. Like there's people out west doing my style. It's more like a lot of people do it now.
So you saw on YouTube, you picked people on YouTube to study. So you studied people that were across the country, across the world, and you kind of mimicked a style that you like. I like that. Let's
100%.
do that.
100%. I pretty much ripped off somebody else's style in Utah. They were in Utah. I ripped off their style, figured out how they edited that way, and then started putting my edits on it. So that's exactly what happened. 100%. Just ripped somebody else off.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, ripping it off is like a very.
It's a vague. Yeah.
I mean, you copied somebody, which is the ultimate form of flattery. You're not taking business from that guy in Utah.
Not at all. Not at all.
Man, that's so good. I did not know that. I didn't know where the photography came from.
Yeah.
You got a quick 10-minute lesson. This is like a lesson for everybody out there. So if you got something and you need more cash, there are no excuses.
No excuses.
0 excuses to get out of debt, to follow that dream, to create more cash.
Let me tell you this, just talking about cash for a second.
Yeah.
So we have a Bernedoodle. It's a dog. It's like one of those. And then we have a poodle. So they're like high dollar dogs when you sell them. We've gone through 3 litters.
Yeah.
They sell $2,500 a dog. So it's like, that's not a lot of startup costs, and it happens 3 times. You can probably do it twice a year, really. And that's a pretty good bit of money to make side money.
Right.
Yeah, there's no excuse to not make money on anything.
Yeah. So here's a great example for everybody out there. So he's doing the front desk at a salon, but he's also YouTubing and talking to people about photography, goes out and just does photography, and then markets yourself, not even market yourself a bunch. I mean, just started picking up weddings there, here and there, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
How many weddings did you do that first year?
First year I probably did 3.
So how did you do anything besides weddings?
I shot family and quickly realized I didn't want to shoot family.
Okay.
I shot a lot of engagements, stuff like that. And then year 2, I think I did like 25 weddings or something like that. And so that's when I started traveling. So people just fly me all over. So been to California tons of times.
So you've been, this is crazy. I can't wrap my mind around this. I didn't know all these details. So you are less than 2 years into weddings, and you're traveling.
Yeah.
How did someone in California hear about you?
Instagram. So my Instagram went from like, a couple hundred followers, and then it got up to, I think right now, I don't know, I don't ever post on that. I haven't posted in like 2 years, but I think I have like 35,000 followers. So it just started jumping up.
Rock Sandretto Photography.
Rock SPS. Instagram.
It's at
Rock SPS. Yeah, so that's what happened, man. And that whole scene was so huge at that time. So I started getting connected with other photographers in Portland, California, and we had this whole circle of like pretty big time photographers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask this. How much did you study? How much did you study the YouTube stuff and study like your craft as far as all this is concerned? Did you hit it pretty hard?
Yeah, I mean, I go everything pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I probably put in 20, 40 hours maybe to learn it all. Something like that.
But as you started doing it, did you start?
You learn different tricks on editing. Composition's big on photography, like just making sure everything's right. And that picked up pretty fast. I didn't really have to learn that part as much as learning the editing style. Just learning how I wanted to edit, making everything, uniform across the album, stuff like that. But that went crazy for, like, I just got back from Las Vegas to shoot that wedding. That was a crazy wedding. That was a Halloween wedding. That was crazy. But, and I've got one in the Grand Tetons next year to shoot, and then I'm kind of done. I'm trying to phase that out.
But you didn't do many this year.
No. I think I only did like 5 or 6. So I started cutting it back. So after that 25 or whatever it was, Brittany was like, hey, you've got to limit yourself, because I would I go hardcore, and then I'll kind of get like burnt out a little bit. Like, okay, I need something else.
How much did you make doing that second year, like 25 weddings?
I think at that time I was probably charging $3,000 a wedding, $3,500 a wedding, something not crazy.
So $80,000.
Yeah, somewhere around that. Yeah.
So $80K. So $80,000. What did you do with the $80K? Is that just lifestyle money?
Yeah.
Or like power bills, you buy stupid stuff?
Yeah, no, stupid stuff. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Let me be honest. I would like to say, I put all that money up, you invested that money. At that time in our lives, though, the salon was paying our, doing everything correctly. Business was good. That money, we went on trips, stuff like that. But it was more Rock being selfish. I mean, if I'm
that's
real
good
with it, yeah.
Honesty's great.
Yeah. It was just me being selfish, and me and Brittany had tons of different arguments about that. And it was just looking back on that now, and it wasn't that long ago, but I could see my maturity at that time of like my headspace is totally different nowadays.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of just had fun with most of that.
All right, let's talk about parenting through this thing. So we're in this together. Do you feel good about the way you've raised these kids through this process? Because you've had time. One of the things that I feel like you've done a good job at is you've had time. And when you have had extra time, you've put something in that spot, but you've never been like someone that's just going super crazy with like, I have no time.
Yeah.
So let's talk through kids and like where they are, where their age is right now, and just like with parenting your kids with both of you owning a business.
Yeah. So Berkeley and Bryson are oldest, so she's 15 and he's about to be 13. With those two, Berkeley and Bryson, they kind of went through that whole process with us of figuring everything out. I think we did our oldest right now, we're kind of going through some stuff with her right now. So it's kind of like I feel very inadequate to even talk about parenting. Sure. But I feel like we were there a lot. We parented as well as we could. We did Growing Kids God's Way.
Yes, I love it. We did.
So
too.
Sean Clark, who has Five Stones Church now up in Franklin, he was here and he was our small group leader, and he poured into me and Brittany so much. Like every time I see him now, I'm just like, you changed our life. Because parenting at that point, they were still young enough to be parented as far as guided, disciplined maybe. And then it starts becoming a heart. Like, okay, well, you messed up because what are you feeling? Like, what made you feel like you wanted to do that? You know? And so it goes from discipline, spanking, or however you want to discipline your kids, to a certain age where that kind of discipline just isn't as effective to us, in our opinion. So then it kind of goes into a whole different realm. And so I feel like we did a good job. I mean, every kid has their different personality, first of all. And that's one thing we're learning in this season is I know which kids now are kind of like following my personality and know which ones are following Brittany's. And so like my oldest is following the way that I kind of look at things, and that's a scary thing, honestly. Sure. And I talked to my parents, and I texted them the other day, and I was just like, thank you so much for putting up with me. Like, you don't realize until you're in that position of what a parent goes through in certain situations. Yeah. And so that's very hard. And all my friends have younger kids because we got pregnant very young. And so it's hard to even kind of have those conversations with people because their kids just aren't at that age to try things or to want to experience life, in certain situations. So so we're kind of dealing with some stuff now with our oldest, but the thing is her heart is pure. She was raised correctly, biblically. So, that verse is raise a kid in the way that you want them to go, and they'll never turn back, And so we're kind of praying that right now in this season. But our younger two, so we had two more kids, and they're 5 and 4. So we kind of had a whole big gap, huge gap. And this was right when we opened our new location. So it was tons of stress. Brittany's pregnant. We're opening a new location, all this kind of stuff.
Spending a lot of money.
One of the pregnancies, we swapped insurance companies, so one of them wasn't even covered, so we had to pay out of pocket. I mean, just total chaos. Complete blessings now, because the things that we learned with our first two that we thought were so important, we realized they're not as important, and some other areas are more important. Yeah. And so parenting to me is one of those things, there's no playbook. Every kid's different. You have to parent the way that God leads you to parent. And this is, in our world right now, it's like we can't parent kid A the same as kid B.
It's hard for me.
Because you have different personalities. And as they grow, those personalities become stronger and stronger because they're trying to become a woman or a man. So I think we're kind of running through all that right now and just trying to navigate those waters. And it's very hard, very difficult. A lot of prayer, honestly. It's just praying. Different grades in school, so there's a lot of things that we're trying to figure out right now, honestly, with our older kids. Our younger kids are, 5 and 4, right. It's just little spankings here and there.
The thing that I've figured out is, as parents, we can't be concerned with our kids' happiness. We got to be concerned about what they're becoming, and because they want things that they don't need.
Right.
Like, they don't want to go to bed. They need to go to bed.
Right.
They can't have Kit Kats for dinner. They want Kit Kats for dinner.
For sure.
They have to, and my wife has done a really good job at talking through this. You got to choose your heart. And we talk about that all the time. It's like, hey, you got to choose your heart. Your heart is like making the hard decision now to be cooperative and eat dinner, or your heart is going to be not eating dinner at all. Whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But I tell my kids this all the time is, I'm not concerned with you being happy right now.
No.
I am concerned with you developing into a great human, because when God gave you to us, that is what He commissioned.
That's your responsibility.
You are my responsibility. I know
100%.
what I've seen the things that you don't see, and so that's why I tell them I'm not super concerned with your happiness. I'm super concerned with what you're going to become.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure.
So as you're going through the kids and the salons and stuff like that, so you guys have grown this thing to absolutely a wonderful place. I have multiple friends of mine that their wives go there. There's guys and girls that go there. It's a great place. Because I did some research after getting to know you of like, Tell me about this place. Oh, this place is awesome. It's best place. I mean, commissioned by some of my friends. Best salon in Birmingham. Open up a second location. Let's talk through that real quick. Talk to me about like the nuts and the bolts of that.
From Valleydale to the second?
No.
Or the new
third location.
Okay, cool.
I said, because you don't have Valleydale. I'm saying.
Yeah. We don't have it anymore.
You got 119, you're opening up one in Hoover.
Right, yeah.
So let's talk through that.
For sure. So after doing that first split location where we had Valleydale at the same time, we learned a lot. We learned that it's better to partner with somebody and do another business as well. It's much better to partner with somebody like-minded to kind of split the responsibilities, if you will. Maybe that's a bad choice of words, but you want somebody that's vested, that wants the same thing for their life that you want for your life. Same culture, same, family life, all those things that are cohesive with me and Brittany. You want it to be cohesive as a group. So we found this wonderful couple, one of our top stylists, her and her husband, love the Lord, great stylist. And she voiced to us that she wanted to have her own salon someday. And we have a couple of them that'll voice that. And so we decided this year, we looked at different locations. The Lord opened up a door in Trace Crossings across from the Met. Yeah. And the rent we looked at one place and the rent was it just wasn't going to work financially, just on paper. And then somebody texted Brittany, the guy that was building the other one, and he was like, hey, we'd love to have you guys at that location, and what do you need to be in for? So we gave them a number. They met the number. And so it was amazing, brand new construction. So we're going in 60-40 with this group. So we created a new LLC.
When you say this group, what do you mean? What do you mean this group? Like
yeah,
the girl that the other stylist?
Yeah. So we're coming in. Two holding companies are going to merge together and create this new LLC. So it's 43-1 Stadium Trace. But that's kind of how that's going to roll. So we're going to merge together. We just left the lawyer's office a couple hours ago, signing everything. So we're all good and everything's fine. We've got everything set up. And then we just signed the contract on the new place yesterday.
How long is it build out going to take?
We're thinking, they said Q3, Q4. So Q3, Q4, somewhere around.
Okay. When you do that, you're leasing the building.
Leasing. Okay.
Are they giving you any money?
Yes.
To build out?
Yes. So you have for anybody that doesn't know, you hire a commercial real estate person. Sure. Ours, we use Richard Tidwell.
Yep. I know Richard.
Yeah, I've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
So he negotiates for us to the guy that owns the buildings. He did the new one for us. He's done a lot of them. So he negotiates, hey, if we sign this term, give us X amount of money. Or what's the build out going to entail? So he does all that on the back end. We don't pay him anything. He gets commission off the signing, from the landlord. But yeah, you negotiate all that. So we got a pretty good TI on this one, tenant improvements. So tenant improvements. So so we'll get in on this one we already have the number set. Like, it's not crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so they'll pay some of the tenants. So like you'll say, hey, I need 14 sinks over here.
Well, usually what they do, so on this one, it's going to be they call it a white box. So we'll have a white box build out. Well, then you still have to buy sinks, chairs, all this stuff. However, at the end of the thing, he could be like, whatever your TI is, say it's $60,000. Whenever you finish everything and you get your occupancy from Hoover or whatever city you're in, they'll write you a $60,000 check. There's your TI.
The owner of the building,
the landlord, yes.
Oh wow!
Now on their side of the business, they get all that back in on the it goes up like 1%, 2%, whatever your contract says each year. So they're going to make their money back over that long period of time. So like the longer you sign, the more you can get.
How long did you sign your lease for?
We signed a 10-year. So we have a 10-year at 119, a 10-year at Stadium Trace, and that was to get a little bit better TI and a little bit better for the white box. Yeah. So, and I've kind of learned all this just from doing it a couple of times. It's a lot to learn. Like, we didn't even negotiate our first lease.
So here's the part that I've really enjoyed talking with you about. Mm-hmm. So you've owned the salon. Mm-hmm. You have the photography business. Mm-hmm. So you recently just owned and got out of a gym. So you and owned a gym. We sold the gym. Yeah. Y'all bought and sold a gym.
Yeah.
Didn't make a ton of money.
No, it wasn't like million. I mean, it was. We made 3 times what we put into it, and we got our money back the first year. Yeah.
Okay, so you made a little money there.
Made money.
So you had a gym, and then you also bought a franchise.
Oh yeah, we did.
You forgot about it.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
So you bought it's All Dry, right?
All Dry, yeah.
So All Dry Franchise, which is a restoration company.
Yes.
So tell me about the structure you did with that, because I think that's really fascinating. And I love the model that you did there.
Right. So Dennis Daugherty, he kind of gave me the idea. We had lunch, and he's a business guy as well, does a lot of franchises and stuff. His concept was this, and it was pretty cool. It was like, find somebody, that has a good work ethic, same beliefs as you do, but might not have the finances to actually put money in on the deal or be a partner, to work sweat equity up through. So Aaron. Yeah, Aaron's going to work sweat equity, right? He's getting paid, of course, salary.
He gets a salary. So you find a guy.
Yeah, find the guy. That's the hardest part, finding the operator. Yeah, that's the hardest part.
He gets a salary.
But
on day one, he gets a small percentage of equity.
Yes, correct. Yes. Like a 20%, yeah. Or I guess I think he took 10%. I can't remember exactly, but it's 10 or 20%. Yeah. So as the money starts coming back for the investment, right? So
the money that you physically put in.
Yeah. So my partner and I, so Ryan and myself, we put X amount of dollars in, and when that money fully funds, so when we get that full return, he gets 50% ownership.
Okay. So let's just use round numbers for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you and Ryan put $100,000 apiece.
Yeah.
Okay. After you pay Aaron, let's just use a good round number. I have no idea about the numbers. Say you pay Aaron $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. So Aaron makes $50,000 a year. Y'all put in $100,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Or put it $100,000. Okay. So the business makes money. All profit
goes back.
Does it go back into a fund for y'all, or do you go? Where do you pick out? How do you pick out the money goes into a fund to pay back investors, or does the money go back into a fund to grow the business?
Yeah. So we just do a set amount each month.
Okay.
So it's a comfortable amount. Of course, I want it to be more, of course, but it's a comfortable amount that the business can still sustain itself, pay payroll, pay all the expenses, but still get some kind of money back in our pocket.
Okay. So let's say $5,000 a month.
Yeah, $5,000 a month.
So you get $5,000 a month. Ryan gets $5,000 a month. Just, again, round numbers. And so once that gets to 100,
200, or 100 each.
100 each. Then the operator
50%.
Well, gets 50% equity.
Ryan and I will back down to 25
and 25.
Yes.
So what's your exit strategy? How do you make money? How do you make money here is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. So the business model of the restoration company is it sold us. It's a very good business. There's a lot of highs and lows, of course, but there's a big profit margin. It's 38% profit margin, so it's a pretty big profit margin for a business.
Right.
And so our end game, when we first bought in, we were thinking like a 1-2 year turnaround, because that's how every other business has been so fast. This is more of like building a brand, because the franchise was so young. I think we were number 13 on the franchise. I think I looked the other day, and I think there was 100 and something franchises across America. So it's grown just insanely fast. Their structure, I've learned a lot about franchises. First of all, you give them way too much money. That's one thing I'll say. Franchises, you have to give them. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, we do 8% is what All Dry asked for.
So you bring in you have $100,000 job. You stroke them a check for $8,000.
$8,000, yeah, right away, off gross.
Everything.
Any money that goes into your account.
Plus, you pay them fees up front.
Oh yeah, you have to buy territory. So the $200,000 goes to buy territory, trucks, whatever you can buy, and then so it's
8%'s a lot.
That's a lot, man. I've learned a lot since that, and I don't regret anything. Again, Ryan and I's intention of All Dry was honestly 100% to bless our operator and his family. Of course, to make some kind of money, but we're not trying to be okay, we want $200,000 a year each, from the company. If it comes to that, that's amazing. But our big thing was trying to bless somebody else.
Yeah.
That didn't have the means to get in that position. And that's really what it boiled down to. So the heart's pure. Everything's good with that. It's a lot slower growth. Aaron works hard, busts his tail, does amazing. So yeah, that's how that's structured though. But it just gives somebody the opportunity.
How hard is the marketing with that business? How hard is the marketing? How hard is the marketing with that business? But how hard is the marketing for a franchise?
Yeah. Man, I've learned so much. I kind of want to see how, I don't want to go too deep. I've just learned a lot. Aaron's, our operator's amazing. It's nothing to do with him. It's just, we did not expect that we had to build a brand as well. And so we're coming in here competing with ServPro, the biggest. I think they're like number one out of all the ServPros in the U.S., and they're right down the street. So we're trying to build a brand in an industry that has no clue who we are, right? So, but we're also giving 8% to somebody because we're using their brand. So hindsight 2020, we should have bought the trucks, got certified, and just started our own company. We would have been doing the same thing.
You should have started Rock Restoration.
Same exact thing, except we had more money in our pockets in the end of the day.
So if you had to do it over again, you would do that?
Yeah, I think we all would. I think
Wow.
I think we all would. I think it's I don't think I would ever do another franchise, honestly.
Wow.
I just think it's the work you put in does not equal the opportunity that's there.
The girl Cody Sanchez, I told you about her on social media. She does a great job. She is not a proponent of franchises because of the exact reason. She's like, she really honestly feels like you do a little bit about like you do with the weddings. Yeah. Like YouTube experience, start out slow, go. As opposed to spending tons, because a lot of people,
up front.
Like y'all had money. Yeah. Like y'all had done well with the salon and with photography and then the gym, and y'all had done well. Right. And so you had capital to go. A lot of people don't have capital, and they take out tons of debt to do franchises. Where Cody says, "Hey, don't do that. Learn it on YouTube, start it, and then go from there."
There's now I think this is totally different. I think franchise, you can't look at every franchise, I don't think is all as inclusive. So in this conversation, McDonald's, you could probably open a McDonald's and kill it. You'll do fine. Burger King, I'm sure you already have that brand built. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do I still agree with the franchise model? Personally, I don't like it, but I'm more entrepreneurial. Like I'm like, we can do this ourselves. It's no big deal. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people will be like, I'm going to cash out retirement, hands-off job, let me buy into this. And if that's your thing, swing that way, man. You know what I'm saying? It's totally cool. But if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, I think you'll just be pissed off with a franchise. Like straight and simple. Like I don't regret anything we did because everything that we did was pure intentions. Everything's going to work. Everything will work out fine. It's not losing money. We haven't had to put any more money in, so it's doing fine. It's paying us back every month. So it's like, it's just not as fast growth as what we assumed looking at all their numbers.
All their numbers, yeah.
Because that's all you're doing.
Okay, so let's talk through this real quick. This is what you and I spend the most time talking about because we talk a pretty good bit. So salon, photography, all dry. What are you doing now? I know what you're doing now. Talk to me about what your thoughts are now from an investing standpoint. Yeah. Like where the road, because we got introduced because like there was 5 people. The crazy thing about our relationship is this. There's 4 or 5 people like, hey, do you know Rock? I'm like, no. You need me to Rock. How do you know Rock? No. You need me to Rock.
There's the other way around too. Same thing with me.
And so we're kindred spirits in so many ways. So what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing now as far as the investment standpoint with any money that you have, and then I'll ask another question about the financial part.
For sure, yeah. So right now, as you know, we joined the mastermind group, Wealth Without Wall Street. Been amazing, and it really opened our ideas. And me and you've talked about this a lot. When you surround yourself with people that are on the same level playing field as you, that are entrepreneurs, still doing good, you're only going to cap yourself at that rate because you don't have anything to shoot for. Right. So what we did when we joined this mastermind was, we're surrounded with people that are just on a whole different level than us. And so therefore, instead of being cowered down and being like, oh man, I don't even belong here, just trying to rise to that, be like, surround yourself with people you want to be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, so our big thing is getting in that group. We've learned so much about taxes, how to invest your money in hands-off investments, passive income. So I think we started 2 businesses this year. One of them, we started a new LLC, and so we invest in ATMs. So it's a complete passive play. It's a 7-year you're in there for 7 years. You're locked in for 7 years.
Money's locked up for 7 years.
Locked up for 7 years. Great. It's a good monthly return. So you cash flow. So the way the mastermind looks at it is this: is like, okay, what is your current problem? Is it taxes? Is it cash flow? Is it just more money? You know what I'm saying? So then you look at those things and say, okay, this year my problem is taxes. So what we did is we needed a tax benefit. So instead of just buying a car like a lot of people do, which is not the smartest thing to do. I mean, it works, but it's not the smartest thing for bonus depreciation.
A lot of people do that.
A lot of people. Yeah. And now if you need a car, if your car, maybe that's...
Cars are way overrated.
It really is. Yep. And so, but a lot of entrepreneurs, they just don't know because they've never heard of anything else. With these ATMs, they're 100% bonus depreciated against passive income. So that's your tax benefit. So we bought the ATMs for that, completely hands off. We just put into a fund. The people that run it are part of the mastermind. So everybody kind of is in it. That was a big thing. And then we just started the 43-1 Hair, the extension company, a couple months ago, I guess a month or two ago.
So talking about that, so the extensions, you guys now have found a company that makes them for you.
Right. Yeah. We were selling, I think it was like $170,000 a year in extensions, hair extensions.
Yeah.
And so what we would have to do as the salon, we would buy the hair extensions, then mark it up 100% to be able to be retail, to give the girls the commission, the retail commission, all this stuff. And it worked fine, man. Our numbers just shot up tremendously because all this extra income. So what we did, they started raising their prices. And so Brittany, the cool thing about Brittany is like she's just like me, like she's entrepreneur too. Like she's like God put us together and we've both grown into this role of being like just entrepreneurial spirit, just like what can we do to anyway, so she sourced some hair and so we have it branded. We started a new extension company, so now our salon sells exclusive 43-1 extensions, 43-1 hair.
Okay. Another question. Is that another business?
Yes.
It's another LLC.
Yeah, completely different.
So is it underneath
the holdings?
Yeah.
No, because again, in the mastermind, we learned about the holdings kind of idea a little bit later than we already had started that one. Yeah. So that 43-1 extension company is Rock and Brittany 50-50. So nobody else is in on that. And so we pretty much just saw a need of, anytime you can supply, same thing with you, like if you could supply your own kitchen with all your own.
If I could raise my own chicken, I'd do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're cutting out an expense and you're making money as a chicken distributor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was very smart on Brittany's thing. And I honestly, when she started talking about it, I was like, this is never going to work. Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you going to find hair? And she went through tons of different distributors for hair because it's overseas hair, so you got to wait till that stuff comes in, then you got to try it out for like 4 or 6 months, make sure it's going to last. Most of it was just garbage stuff. Well, then I guess probably Q2 Q3 she found this one distributor and hair's amazing. All our stylists love it, which is a big thing.
Huge.
Yeah, because they all want to sell it. And so that was just another blessing that God kind of made happen. It's just like a need that I guess Brittany more than me found a way to I guess capture that extra loss that you're going to be spending to somebody else.
Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So you started the ATM thing. You got the ATM thing from the mastermind.
Yes.
You and I talked about the mastermind. So you went out to Arizona to a meeting. You weren't involved with the mastermind at that point. You just paid to go to the conference that Russ and those guys at Wealth Without Wall Street started. You go to that thing and you ended up joining the mastermind.
Yes.
Okay. Is it worth the money?
100%.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. It's pricey. I'm not gonna lie. It's not.
How much is it? Tell me.
So it's $20,000 a year.
Okay.
So it's not everybody's cup of tea, which is totally cool, but the value you get. So we do Zoom calls twice a month, and then you can jump in all these other Zoom calls. They have different levels. So we're in the mastermind group. They have the inner circle, which is a different, I guess, tier into the system.
More expensive or less expensive, whatever.
Yeah, no, the money we're going to save from taxes alone is paid for this year. Does that make sense? So like this year's already paid for, or I guess we just started in October, so we made $20,000. You know what I'm saying? It's
you paying $20,000 less in taxes.
100%. Yeah. So it's already made itself back. The connections you have with these people, it's just it opens your eye, or opened our eyes to a whole different avenue of business that just blows us away.
Okay, since October, you've learned about the ATMs.
Yeah.
You've learned about a little bit about the holdings company, which just kind of helped you guys, and you've learned about taxes. Those are the three huge takeaways.
Trust. We learned about trust, so we're getting ready to set up trust.
By the way, you need to do.
Yeah. So we haven't
got on you before you went out there, but not having a wheel.
Yeah.
So you learn about those things. What are you learning now that you're excited about, that you've learned from this group that you had no idea about before?
So the cool thing with this group that I think me and Brittany are both pretty excited about is
let me say this too. We are not pushing this group. I'm just.
Oh, no. Yeah,
I'm not even in the group. I just want to know about.
I keep trying to get you to join.
Yeah, I just want to know about like.
Yeah.
This is more inquiring me wanting to know. Hey, what are you learning?
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm sure every mastermind has benefits, no doubt.
Yeah.
So this one, they're so good at next steps. So the way they break down everything into a easy, viable next step. What is your next step? Is it to book a call with somebody just to get a conversation started with whatever? Like we have got a call the 28th with the CO Scrubbers. So there's a new investment. It's going to be insane. So, and that's guys in the group as well. And he does these CO Scrubbers and people get in it. So I think it's like a 300% bonus depreciation.
Okay.
I'll learn more about that and come back to you on that one. But so we've created a whole financial path for next year. So me and Brittany sat down. We've created Q1. We know how much money we're going to make, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So we know what our cash flow is going to be, what our end of the year tax liability is going to be, because we know which each company is going to pay us. So every month I know X is going to pay us this LLC is going to pay us this. So we have our whole cash flow system written down. Doing that alone, we have increased from this year, and we're just talking about taxes, like what your tax return is. We've increased 6 figures from this year to next year, what we're going to make, just from having a solid plan. Not that we couldn't do that on our own. We just were never taught that way. We're always just like fly by the seat, like, hey, do you want to do this gym? Yeah, let's buy the gym. Do you want to do this? So now you have something that's called, the way they call it, investor DNA. What's your investor DNA? So what is it that you, Thomas, are wired to do? Are you wired to do STR, short-term rentals? Probably so. Am I? I don't know, man. I don't know if that's, at the beginning, that's what I wanted to do. But after learning all these passive income plays, I'm like, why don't I just let my money work instead of me having to do anything else extra?
Right.
So it doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong or vice versa. It's just that's your DNA and mine's different. So they go through this whole process, finding your investor DNA, personality profile. So there's a lot of upfront stuff. But I know when I'm going to invest into another thing, which might be more ATMs in Q3. So I know how everything's growing per quarter for 2023.
So what did you think the next thing for you is? Like CO Scrubber?
So CO Scrubbers, I need to have more information on it. Before we kind of dive into that one. But that's very interesting because it's a tax benefits against active income. So you have tax benefit against active and passive income. I think it's 500 hour cutoff per month or per year or something like that. I can't remember. Probably per year. But once you hit that $500 limit, it considers it to be active income. So active income depreciation can go only against active income. Passive depreciation goes against passive. So the CO Scrubbers goes against active income. So therefore,
Salon.
Salon, 43-1 hair. Anything like that is active. So that would go against all that. We're looking at that, and we're also looking at land flipping. So
you tell me about that.
Yeah, the land flipping is pretty cool too.
Is that going to be more of a tax benefit or more of an income producing benefit?
So the cool thing about all of these it does both. So you have a cash flow. Okay. So of course, just like your houses is you want them to cash flow. Once you cash flow, whatever that is, that's a good thing because you're having that extra income. The way they look at it is this is not being financially, what is it called? Your passive income has to be greater than your monthly expenses. So say it costs $10,000 to run your household a month.
Right.
If you can get passive income to cover that $10,000, you're financially free because you have a motor running to cover these expenses. And so that was just something we never even, we knew we wanted passive income, but we didn't really know how to get it, and we weren't in that group.
How passive is it though? Like how really passive? Do you have any passive income right now today?
No.
Okay, but that's what you're investing in right now.
Yeah. So the ATMs, I'll get a check every month on the 15th every month. Starts in February.
Okay.
So that's all I do. I can look at an app and see where everything is, see how the whole fund's going, but I get a check every month. So I know that's passive.
And you've got the full payback of that is what, 7 years?
4 years. So on $100,000, it's like $104,000. You get $2,143 a month. So you get $2,143 a month for 7 years every month. So year 4, you get your money back, and then you make $89,000 the next 3 years.
So $89,000 over the course of 7 years.
Yeah, course of 7 years. Yeah. So And I'll say you can look at it two different ways. For us, you have the tax. This is our playbook. You have the tax benefit, but then you also have something to set off monthly expenses, right? So whatever you're spending monthly, you're getting that cash flow. Even if it was your 100,000, what are you going to do with 100? You know, you're going to have it sitting somewhere anyways.
Sure.
So have it invested in some kind of thing, making money.
Yeah.
That's kind of our play on that.
What else is going on right now as far as investing is concerned? That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot now. Yeah,
you got the salon, you got the land flipping. You're talking about the seal scrubbers, the ATM, which is I think sounds like you kind of forget that. You're done.
Yeah,
it's
kind of like you just put the money in and you kind of
what
chill.
else? What else right now as far as that's concerned? Anything else?
Yeah, the CO scrubber is going to be the next big thing. The call on the 28th after Christmas. We'll kind of figure out a little bit more on that, and then the land flipping. We kind of wanted to do that, but I want to see how these CO scrubbers, see what the return is and see what the tax benefits are before we jump into the land flipping. Because they have a couple of different things. You have a buy-in where you can spend $100,000 and they do it all for you, or you can spend less money and try to do it yourself.
Do some yourself.
And I don't want to do it myself.
With the mastermind.
Yeah.
This is what I worry about.
Yeah.
How do you not get overwhelmed with information and be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. This is great.
Yeah.
How do you either not get overwhelmed and, like you've said before, create another job, or how do you not get overwhelmed and run out of money?
It's true. Great question.
I got that much money. I can't do that, Johnny.
I might want to, but I can't.
Yeah.
Investor DNA.
Yeah.
That cuts out everything.
So there's a lot of things in there that you'll hear. You're like, hey, that's not who I am.
Yeah, and they have. Yeah, that's somebody was talking about short-term rentals the other day. They had They have, I think, a couple hundred homes across the U.S., and they were talking to the mastermind. And so after the call, they go around and rate it. And like, hey, is this something you would want to do? Rate it 1 out of 10. And for me and some of the other people, they rated it lower because of strictly the factor of the cash flow wasn't big enough for the investment. Now, I know you look farther into the future.
I'm a long-term guy.
Yeah, you're a long-term guy. So for you, that's a perfect play. So in your investor DNA, it works perfect for you. Or somebody that just hey, I just have this house and I just want to do this rental house, whatever.
I want to make $400 extra month.
Make $400. That's totally cool. And it'll pay itself off. You know what I'm saying? You'll be making more money.
Yeah.
For me, that's a little bit, for my personal DNA, I want to do, we want to do a little bit more stuff to where it's more like, of course, a passive play, but also a cash flow thing. The group is amazing with helping you delegate that. So it's not just information, it's advice. Oh, 100%. Yeah. When you join the mastermind, you have access to the coaches. So the coaches are investors in all kind of stuff. They're big level 30-year-old guys that are retired just making passive income, so it's like they kind of help you, and they always go back to what's your investor DNA? What are you trying to shoot for 2023? Do you need to cut taxes? Do you need more cash flow? Do you need, what do you need? And then they work with you on that. Well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about this fund? Or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's it's not just hey, here's all the information and you figure out what you want to do with it. You have somebody that's kind of not holding your hand, but you have somebody you can go to and be like, hey, what do you think about this? What's your take on this? And the cool thing with the coaches too, they've invested in almost everything that's you're getting. Or if they haven't, someone else has. Someone else on the team has. Yeah, and we're on the WhatsApp, so you just shoot the group of messages. Hey, somebody was asking today for a realtor in North Carolina, and everybody answers oh, I use this realtor. This is a great realtor. So you reach out for any kind of any people you need, any person, any group, and everybody's done it because they're just been in it for longer. Wow. The cool thing is though, it's a lot. There's some even W-2 people, high-paying W-2s, doctors and lawyers and stuff like that just won't passive income plays, like Steven, our friend Steven. So it's to me, like I said, we've already made the money back just learning what we've learned so far. Yeah. And so next year's just going to be even bigger. And so far, each year is going to be bigger and bigger after that. It's crazy. All right. So as we wrap up here, what do you need to tell people out there about you that you want people to know about what you're doing, all these things? Any advice I would say for someone that is a business owner or parents and they're trying to do these multiple things? Because, I'm in charge of 15 or 20 households. I got to pay those people that feed their kids and pay their bills. You're the same. So that's a responsibility. Obviously, I've got 3 kids. You've got 4 kids. But then also there's other things that we want to do. What thoughts would you give people? Yeah, I think the biggest, first of all, if as a business owner, you have to learn, and me and Brittany had to learn this, is you have to leave business at the office. Don't bring it home. And in the first years, that was hard, man. We'd go on date nights and talking about the salon. You know, so it's like we had to learn, and that was a process of trying to figure that out of how far, because she's my business partner. So how much do we talk about business when it's our personal time? We're a lot better now. We don't really talk about it at all. That's the big thing. First of all, is leave business where business should be, and to have home life where home life should be. Second thing is kind of like what we talked about in the beginning is, if you're a entrepreneur and you even have that spirit, there's ways to make money. Like you don't have to go out and spend $100,000 on a fund and have some kind of passive income play, but you need to have a goal of each quarter. This quarter I want to do this, and you have to make steps. That's another big thing. I think a lot of people, tons of people, and it's probably the same with you, come to me with ideas. Why don't you do this? And I'm like, you do it. Like, it's your idea. Like, God gives you ideas too. Like, you do it. So I think one thing, and we can kind of wrap up here, is God gives people ideas, but if you don't follow through on that idea, he'll give it to somebody else.
Sure. And
so that person is going to be you. You're going to look back and be like, man, I had that same idea.
Yeah.
Same idea.
That's awesome.
But you have to do something with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been great. A lot of stuff I learned that I didn't know, and just you've done a lot. And I really appreciate your friendship. I really appreciate you coming on, and just, I got a list of things here that I just want to ask and go into deeper later on. But like, I really appreciate it. And for everyone out there, Rock's a great guy to follow. Does a lot of great things, and is a great example of so many different things. And so, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. All right.